Hey guys, what's going on? I'm Ben Bateman.
And I am Andrew Ghai.
And we are the Action Guys. We are here to talk to you guys about the most awesome films coming out today. They may not be good, but they'll definitely be awesome. And we're going to show you why using our tricks of cinema science.
Yeah, you guys might know us from Action Movie Anatomy. You might know us as being jackasses on the Movie Trivia Schmodown. This is something a little bit different. Using cinema science, we are going to tell you why we believe that Gerard Butler is the embodiment of the 80s action star today.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. So thank you for tuning in for the very first episode of this. Stick with us as we share with you all of our fun opinions, thoughts, and love of Gerard Butler, Gerard, as we like to call him. And we will see you guys in just 1 second. First and foremost, we should probably just get into this show's thesis statement.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, every single show is going to start off with a thesis statement to kind of bring us through the entire episode. And Jerry B is one of our absolute favorites of all time. But there's something very unique about his filmography, Ben. And what would you say it is very reminiscent of?
You know, Gerard Butler, or Jerry B, as we so affectionately like to refer to him, he is the closest thing to an 80s action star we have working today in films. He's like the bastard love child of Steven Seagal and Sylvester Stallone. I mean, he truly embodies this wonderful genre of action star that we don't have anymore. We had back then and we don't really have anymore. So today's episode, thesis statement, is that Gerard Butler is the closest thing to a classic 80s action star we have working today in film, and we're going to explain to you why.
Right. Now, it could be the Jean-Claudes, the Chuck Norrises, the Steven Seagals, the Charles Bronsons, whatever you might have as your favorite 80s action star, but he really is that guy now because if Gerard Butler were to show up in a Denis Villeneuve, Taylor Sheridan, even a Tarantino movie, and he's like the lead bad guy, you wouldn't be surprised.
No,
right? You'd be stoked.
A-list enough.
Yeah. But the movies that he's done in the last like 5 years, 10 years, they're mostly all laughable.
Yeah, like if you were to compare him to let's just say he's like a bastard love child to like Stallone and Seagal. You just compare the movies they were doing in the prime of their action career, the titles, to his. So like with Stallone, you've got like Cobra, Lock Up, Over the Top.
Right.
You know, Seagal, it's like Marked for Death,
Hard to Kill,
Hard to Kill, On Deadly Ground. With Jerry B, it's like Law-Abiding Citizen,
Geostorm,
Gamer,
Olympus Has Fallen.
Yeah, London Has Fallen, Machine Gun Preacher.
It's like
that one's pretty highbrow.
Yeah,
for Jerry.
that was actually really good. I would be into that movie. But it's interesting because like you don't expect. What do you like when I saw Geostorm on a plane home from
great place to watch
Las
that
Vegas.
film. Yeah.
It's like Jerry B almost controls the entire in-flight library of films.
He controls the Geostorm.
This is my plane.
You know, I think before we go too far into this thesis, I think we should just take a quick step back to kind of explain our methodology to this show, to Jerry B, our love for him, all of it, because I think we've come out of the canon pretty hot and heavy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, because we love Jared so much, we get very excited when talking about him.
So yeah, we do this show called Action Movie Anatomy. It's over on the Popcorn Talk Network. We've done it for years now.
Yeah,
we've done almost 200 episodes. We break down movies, one movie at a time. Have a great time, laugh about them. There's a couple kind of totem spirit animals of that show.
I will say that I don't have to sit and stare at you during that show.
Yeah,
it's definitely different.
Yeah,
I don't mind it.
How are you feeling about it?
I feel okay.
Yeah,
it's just Yeah, okay.
Would you like me to put on sunglasses?
I mean, a big part of that show is me embarrassing myself on it. So
it's warm in here. I mean, are you going to sweat a lot?
I'm going to sweat a lot. But there's staples of that show, things that we really, truly love, that some of it's a little too highbrow for this. Not saying that this is a lowbrow show. We don't really want to just regurgitate what we did on that show.
No.
But there are certain things that we must bring over.
And one of those is Jerry B. And so at one point, I guess it was probably last year. Yeah, it was probably last year. Geostorm came out in 2017, I think.
Yeah, makes sense.
So I interviewed Jared, a year ago.
We just found out earlier today, based off of the thirsty tweets, that it's actually pronounced Gerard.
That's how he pronounces it.
Which is the only way to pronounce it now.
Hello, I'm Gerard Butler.
I'm Gerard Butler.
Yeah,
and I'm reading thirsty tweets.
I wish he took more roles with his real accent.
I do too.
Because it's wonderful.
He keeps being American when he doesn't need to be.
He doesn't need to be.
Anyway, I digress.
Leonidas. He kind of has it there. A little bit, actually.
Well, yeah, he gets to embrace the Scottish more.
He hadn't learned with a dialect coach how to avoid it yet. So the deal is, when I interviewed Jerry, I told a friend of mine, Daryl Christian, he's the CEO, president of Black Hollywood Live,
which Ben used to work for Black Hollywood Live, and I love that this is a
Still-
new place
still do.
I can say this joke to. He is so goddamn white. It is hilarious. Have you ever done a red carpet for Black Hollywood Live where you didn't get some amount of grief, anything?
If you mean a guest that is not white, pointing out the fact that I am white, the answer is absolutely not. It happens every time. I usually tell them we'll fix it in post.
Look, I've worked for Black Hollywood Live, and I get called out every time for not being black. So anyway,
it's a good experience.
It's a great time.
My buddy D was like, I was doing a show with him or something, and I was like, yeah, man, I'm really excited. I actually get to, on Friday, I'm interviewing Gerard Butler.
Yeah,
and he was like,
this was back in the
he was
day.
like, oh, Jerry's a great interview. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And I didn't say it. I just heard it. I was like, yeah, he's great. So then I saw Drew on the show a couple days
You
later.
were so excited.
I know, but I casually dropped on the show. I was like, yeah, I mean, I think it's one of the better films in Jerry's career. And you're like, did you just call him Jerry?
I looked over. I was like, did you just call him Jerry? You're like, yeah, Jerry B.
Yeah, Jerry. That's what we call him, right? And so I just tried to play it off. That's what he says to people. My friends call me Jerry, which is why Daryl calls him that.
It was the coolest moment I'd had in my life. was finding out that.
Yeah.
And then the second was today finding out it's Gerard.
It's Gerard. So yes, that's why we're talking so affectionately about Gerard Butler, about the film Hunter Killer, which, just for the record, guys, is not good.
It's not a good movie, but see, this is the reason why we made this show. We had the idea for this show. We've been doing that other show for 3 years. We've had millions and millions of people watch it, hundreds of hours on air, and we realized that the best parts of every action movie, even the good ones, it's the moments in between the action.
It's kind of, it's like the things that make the movies awesome.
Yeah.
And so we really decided that we wanted to be able to do a show that was inspired by new movies that maybe if not great, were at least awesome. And we were going to prove to you guys why they were relevant to talk about.
Yes.
Talking about the most awesome things. And there's a lot of awesome things about Hunter Killer.
Oh,
it's a very bad movie. In fact, we were so drunk when watching it, both of us nearly passed out. I did pass out for parts of it.
Yeah, you fell asleep for 15 minutes, but what was so good is that Ben and I knew that these two shows had to happen on Hunter Killer, so we very adamantly took drunken notes for the first 40 minutes of the show.
We'll be sure to share some of those notes with you guys.
And then the movie. The movie's 2.5 hours long. There's no notes in the second half of the movie.
So anyway, guys, that's why we are so affectionately talking about Gerard Butler. But to finish the initial thesis statement, which is that Gerard Butler is the most 80s action star of today, we reference the names of the films. You also talk about sort of where was Seagal or Van Damme at in their career in terms of the public consciousness in their prime? Could you have argued that Seagal was an A-lister, or would you have argued?
Well, it's tough because I wasn't
we were
relevant. I was four. Yeah. So this is a conversation you and I have had many, many times about tons of actors, and it's whether or not they're A or B list. And it's really hard to kind of decipher why they're A or why they're B, because one of my favorite arguments is if Gerard Butler walks into the bar, in any bar, anywhere in America, middle America, anywhere, people will know it's Gerard Butler.
Because he was in 300.
Because he was in 300.
Right.
And that's kind of really it. The Olympus movies kind of came and went. He's just kind of been a personal public figure. So in my mind, I actually feel like Jerry's the very, very top of B list, even though he makes 4 movies a year.
They're with sweet titles. He's
sweet titles.
He's he's that guy that you could make a strong argument that he's a B-lister.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you would almost enjoy the conversation so much, and they'd be so familiar with what you were talking about in the movies, you kind of have to just accept that he's an A-lister.
Well, because, again, like I said earlier, is if he popped into any movie with any director, biggest director in the world, starring opposite of Leo, you wouldn't be that surprised.
Yeah, it would be oh, Gerard Butler.
He's coming back.
So and coming back
because it's dramatically coming back.
I think another great similarity to those
things, by the way. These make me very happy. For you guys on audio, I'm talking about these microphone arms.
Yeah, you can kind of move the mics. Oh, there we go. I'm louder now.
I haven't heard a word you've said the whole time.
No, I think if you go back and you look at those 80s guys, like a Stallone, or not a Stallone, but actually he's different.
He did both. So let's talk more Seagal and Jean-Claude and even Norris.
If you take Seagal, who I think is a great comp for Butler, I think he's a great comp. Those Seagal movies that we talked about,
I broke his neck 5 times.
they were Casey Ryback.
I'm a great chef.
What's he say? He's
a better lover.
It's the It's the Navy. It's not a job. It's an adventure.
It's an adventure. Oh, then he says like a thing at the end. He's
And
like,
then Tuco
Holmes
says
or
something. No, it's because Tuco said it. That's why he
Tuco.
did it.
Yeah, Holmes.
So he's like, all his movies were opening, and they were opening like number 4, number 6 at the box office. Like Under Siege opened, but like Above the Law, On Deadly Ground, Marked for Death, The Glimmer Man, they're all opening like 5th, 6th, but like they're still getting theatrical releases and they're still big enough.
Domestic theatrical releases.
So that's where you can kind of comp Jerry B is like Dead of Thieves is going to open 4. You know, this movie opened number 6.
Do you remember when action stars actually had to be action stars in real life? Like even Jean-Claude, like he wasn't a martial artist, he was a ballerina turned martial artist, but like Steven Seagal, Aikido, Bruce Lee, Chuck Norris, all these people were actually trained fighters. But all of a sudden in the late 90s, 2000s, they were like, no. You just have to look this way.
Well, it all changed with
Arnold, right?
No, I'd say with Willis. Like
Willis and Willis and Harrison.
Yeah, Die Hard signaled the change.
Yeah.
And then as you got into the 90s, and it was like, okay, so now Keanu is going to be an action star, and now Harrison Ford is going to be in Air Force One. It was like, we talk about the like 50-year-old white guys in suits punching each other, fighting.
That's like, they just go back and forth until one knocks you out.
Right. They just an unreasonable number of punches.
Yeah, it has to be a lot of punches.
So yeah, that's where I think you can really make the argument is like, it's where he exists in our consciousness. He's just good enough, but he's never going to be like the guy.
Okay, so, but back then, there were these guys. There was a handful of them, right? So right now, Jared, in our mind, feels like the truest 80 action star. Who else out there now could be one?
Hits the beats.
Who hits the beats? For me, it's Charlie Hunnam. And you might be looking at home.
Pac Rim himself.
Why? And the reason why, I'll tell you, is because he's not a very good actor at all. He's pretty...
Jaeger pilots were like rock stars.
That's actually Charlie Hunnam calling in right now. The kaiju landed in San Francisco. Yeah. He just sounds so bad.
Mako, why aren't we drift compatible?
Mako, I love you.
He's a great actor.
Things like that.
He's a terrific American accent.
So he did King Arthur, right? Yeah. And he did Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah.
He's like a good-looking enough dude. He's not young, but he's not old.
Yeah.
He's in good enough shape, and he's just not relevant enough.
He's like skinny jacked. He's like this guy right here.
Yeah, it's a Zac Efron if you guys can't see.
Yeah.
Zac Efron's shredded.
He's shredded.
He's absolutely shredded.
He's insane.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's, you know how hard that is to get to.
Oh, yeah. The Rock, I remember I saw he was talking to someone about it was for the Baywatch junket. He was talking to someone about like getting ripped, and he was like, "There's like The Rock shredded, and then there's like Zac Efron shredded."
Yeah, because The Rock isn't actually that like shredded. Like he's just yoked.
Yeah.
He's massive with low body fat, whereas this is like 2%.
Yeah, well, he's also like way younger. So much. The Rock The Rock like literally has to like drink HGH for breakfast.
Right.
Like that's like I feel like
you're stepping on my Charlie Hunnam moment here with your Rock crap. Okay, I'm talking about Charlie Hunnam here. Okay, he's done Sons of Anarchy, he did Pacific Rim, and then other than that, King Arthur. He's just kind of a joke. So why not take him and make him the B movie action star guy? Like if this was 8 years ago, I'd say Sam Worthington. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that guy where people care just enough. So start making really bad, dumb throwaway action movies. But Jared's just so much better.
You have to like be in on the joke a little bit too,
because Jared has movie star charisma.
Yeah,
whereas Charlie Hunnam doesn't.
Because that's where I think like you could do it with Hunnam almost. Except the problem with that is that like he takes himself too seriously. Whereas like I think Seagal was in on the joke a little. Like definitely Butler is like Butler.
Oh, Butler loves making fun of himself.
The thirst tweets, the like I'm thirsty as fuck, all that stuff. Like he's willing to totally poke fun at himself.
Yeah,
for the greater good of being
good.
And also it's what makes him so likable. I mean, I told the story on the last show, but I'll tell it again. Like when I met him at Geostorm at that premiere, he talked to every single reporter on the carpet. Like, and he was so like charismatic and likable, and just like he just got it. He was like, my value is to be super entertaining and warm and be great to work with. Like he went in 20 minutes late to his own premiere just to talk to all of us.
Yeah, he said that to his post. He's like, I'm 20 minutes late for my own premiere. Rah, rah, rah. Yeah. But and guys, for you at home, or even if you are a person in the entertainment world, that is something to be treasured and admired, because most people, for instance, like, and I love Charlize. But if you talk about Charlize showing up to a red carpet for even her own movie in like Atomic Blonde, she's supposed to be there at 7:30. She might show up at like 8:40, 8:20, 8:30, like 10 minutes before the premiere starts. Maybe do the first two people, maybe if it's like Entertainment Tonight or Access Hollywood or whatever, and then go inside. And if you're even 10th 10th, 20th, you will never even dream. You go to there knowing I won't talk to Charlize tonight.
I mean, 6 months ago, whenever it was that Gringo opened, she walked right past me.
Right.
And I saw her walking from 40 feet down the line, and she skipped 40 feet of reporters before she got to me.
Before she skipped
and then
you.
walked right past me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it happens. Like, especially if you've done it a long time.
It's no slight on them. It's just, that's why we're doing an episode on Jerry B's Hunter Killer right now.
On Gerard Butler.
Okay, so maybe Charlie Hunnam isn't the best answer. Who's better?
I would say that the other most obvious, and we mentioned him a second ago, is got to be Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And I mean,
he's too famous though, right?
Well,
or is that a bad thing?
No. So
okay,
this is what I'll say.
I'm excited.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is too famous, and he's way too much of an A-list commodity to be this guy.
Because he's not A-list actor talent-wise, but he is the most famous entertainer in the world.
But the Scorpion King and Walking Tall and the
Hercules.
Rundown. Yeah, like he made a lot of, and even now, the movies that he's making, he made Skyscraper.
So maybe it's better to say that The Rock just would be this if he wasn't so famous.
He did something with his brand. I think it was two things.
His marketing team is the most brilliant marketing team ever.
He just reinvented his brand, and the combination of Luke Hobbs was a big deal. Like when he got introduced into Fast and the Furious.
Right, and then he immediately, but was it his marketing team then? Or was it like them telling someone to coin him as franchise Viagra? Like even just that small little nugget of a name is huge.
Well, so that was 2011. So I read an article about him had to have been like 2014, something right around then.
Okay.
And he fired his whole team. He hired this whole new team to reinvent his career, right? So all the movies that he was taking, his entire vision of what his career was going to be changed at that moment. And that's when he started to build whole sort of franchises around him. That's when he decided to he did Hercules, which wasn't great.
Very bad.
That's when he decided to put Ballers into production.
Which I've heard I've never watched one episode of Ballers. I heard it's pretty good.
There was something about, he just sort of got it, and that turned him into a commodity so much bigger than what Jerry B is.
Right.
And there was a minute after 300 where you were like, is Jerry going to be the guy? Like, could he be one of those top guys?
Well, because he also did Phantom of the Opera, and he's not a bad actor. He just picks not good roles.
Yeah.
Or he doesn't. A lot of actors go out there to try to prove something with their roles, and I don't think Jerry does that. I think that's really what it is that kind of separates him.
Yeah.
So with The Rock, it feels like, because Norris was kind of like that in this. Norris was huge between Walker Texas Ranger and just being this. I mean, the meme thing came later, but in the 80s and early 90s, Chuck Norris was a huge thing.
I mean, Norris and Seagal and Van Damme,
exactly.
That's that.
And even Snipes came in later on. But so why?
Right.
There's a reason why Geostorm feels exponentially different than Skyscraper. And I think it's because Skyscraper, it's because Jerry B is in on the joke and The Rock isn't anymore. He's in on the joke and be cool.
Yeah.
Because he knows.
Though actually, I think you're 90% right.
His leg saves his life twice in Skyscraper.
But then there's also the moment where he holds the bridge with his arms.
But he knows
in Skyscraper.
But to him, he's that's that Chris Evans, I want a shot of me holding the helicopter. Please let me have my shirt off. No, you can't take your shirt off. Please let me have it. No, you can't.
Yeah.
But I think that's what it is for The Rock. It's I want to see where I looked super yoked. Jerry B, there's a line in Geostorm in the script where it's your number of years that you are old doesn't match your appearance. Physical appearance. And The Rock would never let someone say that to him for another 20 years, I bet.
Let's talk about another one of the things about Jerry B that's fantastic. Allegedly, he's sober and has been for years.
He looks more hungover than you and I ever have in our whole lives every day.
He looks more hungover than Affleck looked in the sitting next to Henry Cavill Sound of Silence video.
Well, here's the other thing is that
which is painfully hungover.
It's very, very hungover. It's sad. Jared's body is not one of a person that you would think would drink every day. That's what's impressive. That's what his body doesn't fit his face.
Yes.
His face looks like an alcoholic.
Yes.
His body looks like a 45-year-old dude trying to keep it together.
I love this guy so much. All right. So
what movie are we talking about?
We got a fun game to build on Hunter Killer here, guys. And this is a game that we actually played this over on AMA. But
we had so much fun with it.
It felt like a worthwhile one to repurpose. It has to do with the titles of his film. So let's just pretend for a second you're a fan of Gerard Butler. You've watched 300. You left the country and you come back, and now you've been given a list of films. It's a list of film titles that Gerard Butler has been in, and you are going to choose the films to watch based solely on the titles and the fact that you are thirsty for Jerry.
You are thirsty for Jerry.
So
and I think we should do our top 3.
Gerard Butler, we're going to accept some film roles. You go first.
Hello? Stephen, my agent. That's my agent, Stephen. What, you want me to do a film? Yes? It's called Dear Frankie. How many times do I get to say Dear Frankie in the movie? 15 times in the movie. I'll take Dear Frankie. Thank you.
You gotta get the phone.
Stephen, lovely to hear from you. Yes, no, I got the script. I read it. Yes, I think it's a lovely script. So I've decided that we have to change the name. I'd like to call it Chasing Mavericks. I don't know if you know this about me, but I was something of a maverick in my younger years.
It has to do with surfing. Jerry, you there? Hello?
Hello, Stephen. Hello. I can barely hear you, Stephen. I'm actually on set of the cherry orchard right now. What? No, the cherry orchard. Remember, you signed me up for the cherry orchard right after we finished Corleones. Yes. I'll call you when I can hear you. Goodbye, Stephen.
Goodbye, Stephen. Stephen. And for my next film, I've decided... Wait, Stephen? Are you there?
Are you there, Stephen?
Yes.
This Siri always fucks with me.
There's a chance I've heard I'll get to work with an Oscar winner by the name of Jamie Foxx. I've decided to take the film Olympus Has Fallen.
Wait, no, Stephen, it's not Jamie Foxx.
He's been replaced. He's taken White House down. I'll still take the film. Thank you, Stephen.
Is there any way to get me on White House down?
No.
You know what, Stephen? Hello, Stephen.
Well,
is that you?
Can we get Channing Tate? Oh, he's in that film as well.
He's on that film as well? Okay. Stephen, hello. Yes, it's Jared. Jerry, yes. I've decided to take a break from action. I've got a new film that's really caught my eye. It's called Naya and the Search for the Golden Dolphin.
Well, Jerry, what role are you going to be playing?
They actually passed on me for Naya and for the Golden Dolphin, but I'm a trainer.
Yeah.
A revered trainer, Stephen. I've got to go.
I'm a legend.
Allegedly a legend.
Now, speaking of legends, I've decided to take another film. I'm going to read you the synopsis of the film.
Please, Jerry, you got to stop taking these movies without my advice. What is it?
Stephen.
Fine, read me the synopsis, Jerry.
The synopsis of the film goes as follows. Sam Childers is a former drug-dealing biker tough guy who found God and became a crusader for hundreds of Sudanese children who have been forced to become soldiers. It's called Machine Gun Preacher. Yes.
You said Sudanese.
I don't care what I said. I don't give a damn. It's opening in 1,700 theaters.
Make it happen, Stephen.
And get me a bonus. All right, I've got to go.
And a sparkling water, please. I don't drink.
So those are real movie titles. Those
Yeah.
are all real movie titles that Mr. Gerard Butler's picked, and we left out a bunch of other great ones.
There's some terrific
ones.
ones.
Some very good ones in
We've
there.
lost our entire audience.
No one's here anymore. We didn't even have. This is our first show. Like, what is happening right now?
So that's the Gerard Butler movie title game. So yeah, guys, that's the first bit of the show here. Moving on to the last bit of the show.
Well, because there's. Yeah, sorry. Again, I'm very, very excited. The supporting cast in this movie is pretty monumental when you talk about like names in the movie business.
And it's one of the more surprising things about the quality of the film is that you had Jerry, but you also had Gary Oldman, you had Common, Linda Cardellini,
and you had Michael Nyquist. And so for those of you that don't know, Gary Oldman just won an Oscar for a movie called The Darkest Hour.
Yeah,
and this movie actually was made back in 2015, probably.
Yeah, I mean, it has to have been. I mean, what we know is that rest in peace, Michael Nyquist passed away in 2016, and he's one of the starring roles in the film. So,
And I actually feel like the reason that this movie didn't get released 2 years ago was specifically because of Common. Just because I think his performance is so bad in this that the movie studio was like, this movie's terrible. We have to push this until something huge happens. And then Nyquist died, and they were like, nah, maybe not big enough.
Yeah, I mean, Common is bad in this movie. There's like lines in this movie where he's like talking to Gary Oldman. You're like, oh wow, Common and Gary Oldman in this scene together.
What a powerful
This is
duo.
exciting. This is exciting. Like I think when they filmed this, like he had just come off Selma, so he was like a hot commodity. He'd won an Oscar.
Yeah.
You know, like people were excited, and he's just like Oldman's like,
No, yeah. So Oldman will be like, well, who are we gonna get?
yeah, who are we gonna get? There's a submarine at a certain level, and Common's like, sir, at that depth you need a hunter killer, and you're like,
He's like, yeah, but who could be doing it? And he's like, but sir, I found someone who didn't go through Annapolis. And you're
Yeah.
like, are you gonna? What is?
yeah, what's happening? It's like I feel like I understand that Common. I saw you in John Wick. You were very good. That there's a way you deliver lines as Common.
It's
but
very
aren't you an actor? Can't you like
boxy and slow?
become a character? Like it feels like you're not trying to become a character. You're just saying things.
Look, I'm brown.
As Common.
I'm a brown man in America. I'm Korean and Indian. I will embrace the fact that there's no 30-year-old Korean Indian admirals in the U.S. Navy. Common is what, 36, black? There's no way that an admiral is going to look like us in that position, giving Gary Oldman orders. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So whatever. So let's say you can get past all that.
Yeah.
Like you said, you need to own a character.
It just was weird. It was like
so weird.
Yeah, and it made Gary Oldman bad. I mean, Gary Oldman was bad in this movie too.
It was I think this might be Gary Oldman's worst acting performance. Maybe Tiptoes.
Tiptoes?
Tiptoes? You know about Tiptoes.
What's Tiptoes?
You don't know? Yeah, come on, dude. Tiptoes? It's the one that everyone always jokes about with Gary Oldman on the cover where he's got like, it's that movie for him.
Wow.
It's, it's like he's,
Tiptoes, eh?
Yeah, I got to read you the synopsis. Everyone at home, I guarantee you the fan base is losing it right now because they all know about
I guarantee.
Matthew McConaughey, Kate Beckinsale, Patricia Arquette, and Gary Oldman. Wow. This film was screened at the 2004 Sundance Film Festival. It was never released theatrically, and it went straight to DVD. And I mean, look at the cover. You're looking at it.
I'm looking at it. This is an impressive. I didn't know this existed.
This is an impressive little Easter egg.
I have literally never heard of this movie.
Yeah, so the best.
Oh, Peter Dinklage as well.
Yeah. I don't know exactly what it's about, and I don't want to like assume because I feel like I'll insult people. But back to what we were talking about.
Two brothers, a dwarf, and one of typical size. When Steve's girlfriend, Carol, oh no, it just goes on and on. I'm not going to read this.
So that aside, I have a feeling that this might be Gary Oldman's worst non-Tiptoes movie. You and I have come up with this thing. We call it RAR. It's
Yeah, it's a segment actually that we had talked about adding on the other show, and we decided to save it here. This is called Just Adcox.
Yes, Just Adcox, and it centers on rating above replacement for supporting characters in film.
Yeah, so if you show up in a movie, how much value do you bring to that movie if you're outside of, say, the top 1 or 2 stars? I think in this case, Oldman doesn't qualify because he's basically the second lead.
Yeah.
And he's Gary Oldman.
Whereas Michael Nyquist and Common definitely do. Now, just to let you know why it's called Just Adcox, and that's Cox with an X, is because Brian Cox is one of our absolute favorite character actors, and no matter how small or ridiculous Agamemnon his roles are, it's about the value they add to the movie. Might not even be a good movie, might be a bad role, but it's the enjoyment factor that it adds. And Brian Cox, whether it's in the Bourne franchise or whether it's in Troy or anything, he is wonderful.
What's his character's name in the Bourne franchise again?
Because there's also
oh, hey, Pam.
Brian Cox. Let me see.
Yeah, Cox. I mean, everything from Braveheart to Troy,
Uncle Argyle.
Yeah, to Troy, to the Bourne franchise, to The Ring, to adaptation. What he plays.
William Stryker, even in the. I mean, obviously
X-Men.
he's like a lead in there.
I mean, Cox is just a champion. Everything that guy shows up in, he's just the best.
And there's a few of these guys that we've talked about that we love. There's like the Brendan Gleesons, the Brian Coxes.
Yeah.
Bill Paxton is one of our absolute favorites.
When he died, we did a show called Paxton Movie Anatomy. It was a special edition episode of that show, and we talk about his career. And the thesis of that show was that Bill Paxton is the greatest big budget character actor of all time. And if you went through his box office receipts and the roles that he had in the movies that he was in, it was ludicrous. He was
Game over, man. Game over.
He's the biggest.
That's like one of the earliest ones and one of the biggest.
From Titanic to Aliens to Tombstone, like he just was
Twister.
He's like barely starred in anything. Twister was like the only action movie that he ever starred in. Really, he was but so
God, True Lies. He's so good.
Incredible.
In True Lies
Steals the show.
Ward Abbott's my name.
What's his name? Warren Abbott.
Ward Abbott. Huh. Well, never heard of him.
Never heard of him.
So in this movie, we'd have to pick the two guys that would be in contention, which would essentially be Michael Nyquist and Common. Now, Nyquist is the most interesting part of this movie, other than Jerry.
Yeah, agreed. Well, he may be more interesting than Jerry.
I actually think he's more interesting than Jerry, and he's the only person that seems like he's really trying acting wise. And like
Wepps tries pretty hard.
Wepps does the glasses kid. There's always a glasses kid in a submarine.
The fact that his name was Wepps is just my favorite.
What does that even?
I don't know.
It's not even a real name.
It feels like a name that only shows up in submarine movies. With a guy with big glasses.
There also needs to be more submarine movies. There's like 7 of them.
Yeah, I think there's literally
U-571, K-19, The Widowmaker, Das Boot, this now,
Hunt for Red October, Crimson Tide, and
another one.
Yeah, there's probably one about
why?
It might be that they're really expensive to make. I think that there's a film.
Not relatable, maybe?
I think there's a film coming out called, I think it's a Tom Hanks movie, a World War II submarine movie. Yeah, I'm trying to remember what the hell it's called.
That sounds cool.
Greyhound, I believe is the name of it.
That's a bus. Those are buses,
yeah.
man.
I think Greyhound is going to be a Tom Hanks World War II submarine movie produced by our buddy John Sheck.
Oh, really?
That Thing You Do, singer in the band, John Sheck.
John's a good friend of ours. That's
John's
super
good
cool.
Dude.
I had no idea. So, I mean, usually it would be much more of an in-depth discussion, but there's just no question here.
Yeah, RAR stands for rating above replacement. So it's like how many points to the IMDb score or the rating does your performance give the film? And I don't know if there's anyone in this movie, to be perfectly honest with you, that actually elevates the movie at all.
Because the other side of that is if Nyquist was replaced with anyone, Bruce Greenwood.
I love Bruce Greenwood.
I know you do.
The guy, there's the whole plot line with if any of you guys who are listening to this have actually seen this movie, take the time to watch it.
Yeah. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes of it.
It's an astonishing piece of shit. There's a whole storyline where these we haven't even talked about most of the movie.
Because we weren't able to soak it all in. There was just too much going on.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, this is
the whole side. Okay, so let's actually talk about the movie for 5 minutes now. Yeah, the whole side story with the soldiers, literally throwing Lone Survivor, the film, into the middle of this film, Hunter Killer, makes no goddamn sense.
So this film has probably one great Jerry B moment, and it's the speech.
It's the speech.
It's a good speech.
Great speech. It's so reminiscent of that Bill Pullman speech in Independence Day. But I leaned over to you and I was like, that means it could be like Bill Pullman's speech in Independence Day Resurgence when they make Hunter Killer 2, which they're going to make.
They're making Den of Thieves 2, which is strong. Strong play.
It's a strong play.
Of his upcoming films.
Steven, I've got another film. Den of Thieves 2.
Jerry, man.
The second Den of Thieves.
So let me ask you this. Of his upcoming films, so Jerry's currently listed as he's going to appear in 6 films. There's 2 in production.
Okay.
And, 3. 3 in...
One of them's Naya.
Yeah, Naya, Legend of the Golden Dolphin. That's a great one. Who else is in Naya, Legend of the
Look, I'm going to take it, Steven. You can't tell me not to.
You can't dissuade me on the film, Steven. It's a great cast. He's still so A-list. Do you see the cast of this movie?
On Naya?
Yeah.
No, what is it?
James Franco, Kate Winslet, Megan Fox, Ellen Page, Owen Wilson, Whoopi Goldberg, Daryl
Literally
Hannah, Diego
Exhibit
Luna,
A.
Cheech Marin.
Okay, hey, isn't Whoopi Goldberg another one of those always A-list anomalies?
I mean, is she still famous?
I mean, if Whoopi Goldberg walked in anywhere in the world, you would know it was Whoopi, right? And then also, her getting placed in this movie doesn't surprise you.
Wait, director?
With Winslet.
Oh,
and
okay.
Franco coming off of an Oscar
So there was a
win.
film in 2011 called Naya, Legend of the Dolphins. It's a documentary, and it's going to be directed by It was directed by Jonathan Kay, who's also directing Legend of the Golden Dolphin.
Which is a new. It's a story. It's a narrative. That's the word I was looking for.
This is an action film following the adventures of Naya, the Golden Dolphin Princess, and her
it's an
mission to
action
save
film.
the Earth.
Looks like we're going to be coming back around to Jerry.
Looks like the boys will be covering my film on the show.
I loved in the Thirsty Tweets thing when he was like, Someone said about something about living in his chest hair, and then they hashtag Gods of Egypt, and he was like,
Oh, you're the one.
Yeah.
I knew one person saw that movie.
Oh, that was a bad.
I never saw it.
So, okay, here you go. Of the other remaining 4.
Okay.
All-Star Weekend, Angel Has Fallen, Afterburn, Den of Thieves 2. Which are you most excited for?
Oh, it's the Has Fallen.
Angel Has
It's
Fallen.
Angel Has Fallen. Is
Yeah.
that the next? Is that like?
The
Is
next
that
adventure
Air
of Mike
Force
Banning?
One? Is that Air Force One coming down?
I hoped it was. The synopsis is Secret Service agent Mike Banning is framed for the attempted assassination of the president and must evade his own agency and the FBI as he tries to uncover the truth.
Look, I know Mike Banning. He will move mountains or die trying.
Trust me. I know this guy.
I know. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
That was a good Angela Bassett.
Yeah, he's strong.
She was sad when she died
Yeah.
in that film. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, in London Has Fallen.
In London Has Fallen. Back to this movie. So the speech that he gives is great. There's a lot of fun lines throughout. I have some of them written down.
Oh yeah, he says the one line about court-martial, right?
Yeah. The guy goes, "You'll be court-martialed," and he goes,
Then it's my job so I can keep you alive long enough to testify.
I looked over you. I was like, ah. There was also the where's the one here? I want this baby so quiet fish will bump into her.
Yeah.
And I leaned over. I was like, you knew that line had to come at some point.
I like that we're doing the Jerry B only in a Scottish Gerard voice now.
Yeah, even though he almost never gets to actually do his real voice.
Exactly.
Gerard.
He's usually more like, I'm sorry, babe.
I'm sorry, babe.
Yeah, it's still kind of Scottish.
Is Charlie Hunnam's American accent? It's exponentially worse. It's the worst American accent ever, right?
Because it's like not that bad. It's just
It's not that bad. It's
just like-
about the delivery.
it's like jarring because it just seems like he kind of seems like he's slow.
He's like reading off of a teleprompter with a period after every word. That's not correct.
he's kind of like a slow version of 90s Keanu Reeves or something.
Keanu's great.
Big
Keanu's
fan.
just, I love him.
Huge fan.
Everything. But Keanu will be covered on the show 100%.
100%. Yeah. So, I think the last thing to cover here before we wrap up is what are your favorite Jerry B moments? Like
Ever?
yeah, because like comparison fist pumps we had written down here. You know, we didn't even describe what fist pumps really were.
Yeah.
But a fist bump moment is that moment you're watching a movie, something happens, you kind of look around, you're like, are you seeing this right now? That's the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, you might be sitting at home in your bed and you'd be like, oh my gosh. You're like, Ben, what are you doing?
Yeah.
No, pull up YouTube, pull up YouTube right now.
I'm eating dinner right now.
I don't
Yeah.
care if you're eating dinner. Hunter Killer, 37 minutes in, go now.
So that's like
Fine.
Yeah, that's your fist pump. So, Jerry B's had some good ones. I think I'll jump in first. I think my all-time Jerry B fist pump moment, I think it's just got to be 300 as a movie.
It's so good.
It's kind of amazing we've never done that on Action Movie Anatomy before.
It is kind of
Jerry
crazy.
B movie?
It's well, because our adoration for Jerry has grown a lot over the last 6 months to a year. That movie is really good. I watched it again recently, and it's just awesome. I remember walking out of that theater in high school and being like, with my buddy, I was with my buddy Landis at the time. I was like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
And then you went and got your haircut like the Romeo haircut.
Look, man, it's actually called the Caesar haircut. It was based off of Maximus Decimus Meridius, who is also in talks for Gladiator 2 right now.
Fat sweaty crow, huh?
Fat, sweaty crow. It might not be him. It might just be Ridley.
I don't know how
It's
Crow could ever.
He could never lean back down. Have you seen The Nice Guys?
I have.
I love that
I also
film.
just saw a new film he's in called
Chasing Mavericks.
called Boy Erased, which I don't think I'm probably allowed to like really talk about yet because I think the
I was gonna say, I
embargo
haven't
hasn't
even heard of it.
I don't think the embargo's dropped yet.
Probably stop then.
But well, you can at least say that he was in it.
Yeah.
I watched that, but he's heavy.
He's a big man.
He's a big man. Yeah, big fan of Crow.
I love Crow.
love Crow.
Yes.
I was in the theater looking around and wanting to just
Hoping to see
high
him.
five someone that they were like, "Are you as big of a fan of this as I am?" Because
I heard that he had to ride bikes with a producer during The Nice Guys to try to stay in shape.
yeah, I heard that also.
You told me that. I wasn't sure if I could say it that way, so I wanted to wait to see how you responded.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, it was very good.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would love to see Russell Crowe riding a bike.
So are you in agreement that your fist pump moment is your Romeo haircut?
It's a Caesar. My fist pump moment early on. It's definitely the "This is Sparta" and the kick.
Yeah, that's great.
And it's also when he dies at the end. It's really sweet. The whole barrage of arrows that like blots
Yeah.
out the sun. Like his the line earlier is our arrows will blot out the sun.
Right.
I think that's really cool. And then it's weird because like Jerry didn't really matter to me for a long time. I hated Shooter. Oh no, that's Clive Owen. I hated Gamer, not Shooter. Gamer. I hated Gamer. I thought it was super whatever. All of the other movies he kind of did in between.
Did you like Law Abiding Citizen?
I didn't like any of them. Like it was okay.
Yeah.
I think it was better than Gamer if I remember correctly.
Right.
Gamer felt like kind of like Crank and like Transporter 3.
Sure,
It was just too crazy. But then honestly for me, it was the Has Fallen franchise. That was my next.
Got you. Yeah.
Because he's so great in them.
Well, also,
I'm sorry, babe.
Also, Olympus is like, it's an Antoine Fuqua movie, and he's like, I mean,
Oh yeah.
he's actually a good director in general.
He
Like,
is.
not
As
like
long
a
as you don't look at him like an Academy Award greatest of all
great
time.
director, but he makes like interesting movies, and like interesting is a relative term. He makes movies that are worth watching, and that movie.
Do you want to correct it again?
That movie is better than some of the other Jerry B movies, but it's also just Die Hard in the White House, and like
Yes.
Jerry's sweet in that movie.
Exactly, which is why for us that was kind of when I was like, oh yeah, he could just be this guy forever, and
Yeah.
I'm totally down.
Right, Mike Banning, and I loved when I said the line to him. I was like, this guy will move mountains or die trying. Trust me, I know this guy. And he was confused for a second. I was like, you're Mike Banning. He's like, oh, Mike Banning, of course. You're like,
You don't care. You don't know your lines.
He had like filmed the movie, but like didn't remember the line. I was like, how's that possible?
Oh, right. Olympus Has Fallen.
Oh, sure.
That's a good one, babe.
Mike Banning.
And then later on, I like Geostorm. It's just dumb fun. Like dumb, exactly what you'd expect out of a name of a movie called Geostorm. And they make fun of him. He makes fun of himself.
It's just still streaming on American. I have to tell you that I've avoided watching it on airplanes. I think of a flight next week. I'll watch it on the flight.
Why have you avoided it?
I don't know. I just
Because it's not going to be great.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't go into the screening at the premiere, and I think ever since then I've just felt like, well, if I missed it, then what am I doing watching this on a fucking airplane?
Right, you were at the premiere.
should have just watched it. Yeah.
I think if anything, if our viewers haven't learned anything today, they've at least grown to love Gerard Butler
Appreciation.
at least that much more. It's
gotta be.
Even if it's 1%.
It's got to be. It's got to be.
We
So
have accomplished our mission.
So in conclusion, guys, I think we can all agree Gerard Butler embodies the career of an 80s action star more than any working actor today.
Because the other two people that we brought to the table, in Charlie Hunnam, he doesn't have the movie star charisma, and then someone who does have all that charisma in The Rock is just too damn famous.
Yeah, you have to have guys that are not that talented, but super famous.
Because you couldn't put Gerard Butler in Jumanji and have Jumanji be as successful as it was.
It would be sweet.
It would be awesome. We would go see it.
Like Gerard Butler in some ways is kind of like he's just kind of a poor man's Hugh Jackman. And like I'm a big Jackman guy, but he's just way more talented.
Yeah, he is. Hugh Jackman as an actor has grown so much.
The Greatest Showman starring Gerard Butler.
This is the greatest show.
Steven, I've signed on for The Greatest Showman 2. No, it's a straight to Redbox sequel, but
It's going to be great.
it's going to be huge.
You remember the Phantom of the Opera when I sang in that? I sing in this.
They've told me I can write the original music for the film.
I've hired Hugh Jackman's band to do the music.
No, I'm not ripping off you. No. It's respect. It's respect, Steven.
He is the 80s action star of today.
He really is.
Without a doubt. And Hunter Killer is one of those great examples of, because there's the Under Sieges and there's the Hard to Kills.
Absolutely.
You know?
So, guys, that's going to wrap up the very first episode ever of The Action Guys. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. If you're seeing this on YouTube, be sure to leave your thoughts, comments below. Let us know. Did you like any of the segments? Any things you thought were particularly funny or stupid? If you want to follow along with us, you can find me at Ben Bateman Media.
You guys can find me at Andrew Ghai. And we also have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/Team Action, where you guys will see a lot of the other things that we do, whether it's reacting to Schmodown matches, top 5 lists sent in from fans. We also just do mini AMAs on movies that we would never cover. That's Action Movie Anatomy. Tons of stuff there. And honestly, we're starting to do more and more things.
Yeah, absolutely. So, thank you guys so much for listening to the very first episode of The Action Guys. Hopefully, we'll be back with another film next week. All right.
All right. Take it easy.
See you guys.